What's going on, everybody? Radio here, and we are back with more data center news. Let's get into it. China preps $295 billion plan to fund nationwide AI build-out. China is preparing to spend 2 trillion yuan over the next 5 years on building data centers across the country to propel domestic AI sector. So it's not just America and Europe. China is working hard to keep up. Key government agencies are drafting a blueprint to erect a network of interconnected computing hubs, with state firms operating the bulk of the data centers and relying on local suppliers for technology. The plan aims to drive cutting-edge technologies, pool fragmented regional resources, and give enterprises broader access to high-performance computing, with the goal of connecting scattered data facilities to a cohesive network by 2028. That's actually a pretty huge goal. We gotta look into seeing if it's doable, because sometimes you have the idea. I mean, the idea is good. You have a network of data centers, so you would never have an outage because all these data centers are working. And if one of them get turned off for some reason, you would still have all the other nodes that are pulling the weight. But what's the main thing for me is that they're ready to spend so much money, and this is just as much money as a lot of the big firms and frontier labs in America are spending. China is preparing to spend 2 trillion yuan, $295 billion, over the next 5 years on building data centers across the country, fueling Beijing's ambition to propel the domestic AI sector and surpass US in a potentially game-changing technology. Key government agencies, including the National Development and Reform Commission, are drafting blueprint to erect a network of interconnected computing hubs across the country. People familiar with the matter said. State firms such as China Mobile Ltd. And China Telecom Corporation will operate the bulk of the data centers and ensure they're connected. The idea is to rely on local suppliers, including Huawei Technologies, for at least 80% of the technology, such as AI chips, effectively squeezing out Nvidia Corp and advanced micro devices. This is coming right after Nvidia chips have been outlawed in China, and the push is for them to use their own chips. Because number one, you want to see how the chips do, and the only way you could see how well the chips do is using them. And what better way to use them than your data centers in China? You wouldn't need to sell it to another country. If anything, you would want to not sell the Chinese AI chips to another country, because you would want as much for yourself. And you got the production, and you have the designs, you have chips ready, and there's only one way to see if they work: if you put them to work. So not only they are getting their data centers, but also they're trying out these chips, and they get to see how effective they are. The overarching plan represents Beijing's most aggressive endeavor yet to lay the foundation for future Chinese AI development. It recalls the undertakings of years past that marshaled resources to support national champions like Huawei, with the aim of replacing US technology. And it's a key prong of the Six Networks program announced earlier this year, covering construction of essential infrastructure spanning water and electricity to computing, one of the people said. Shares of major China data center service providers rose as much as 12% in pre-market US trading, and VNet climbed 17% after Bloomberg News report. The data center blueprint remains in early discussions, and details could change. So this is like just like America, where just by the news of, the company shares went up 12% in pre-market trading. So yeah, in the US. So the US investors are always hyping things up. So anything that has to do with data centers, AI, anything that either helps AI or is somewhat related always rises up. we're still in the mania phase. The data center blueprint remains in early discussions and details could change, but it underscores Beijing's resolve to drive cutting-edge technologies even as spending elsewhere begins to wither under mounting government debt. The sum will be funded mainly through sovereign debt, including ultra long-term special government bonds, typically of more than 10 years tenure, and state funds for investment in strategic industries. Bank loans and private capital would supplement the financing. I mean, this is all great, but the reality of building a data center is different than just making the blueprints and planning for it. Like, just look it up here. This is a breaking news. Oracle reports higher than expected data center spending. So is this $295 billion plan enough for China to fund all of the data centers? I don't know. We'll see. We might read that some other time, not today, because after this article, I have something else. Another news article. Meta signs first AI data center deal in India with Reliance. So we have China, and now Meta is. So China is building their own. They're kind of independent, and they want to use their own chips, use their own money, and really bolster their own technologies. Meta is building a data center in India. Now, obviously, it will be the most beneficial to people in India. They don't need to connect to the data centers overseas. And also, for Meta, you get to have compute in a different part of the world, and you open the way for more global expansion. As tech companies race to secure the computing power needed to train and deploy AI systems, Meta is making its AI infrastructure bet in India, striking a data center partnership with the conglomerate Reliance Industries in a market that is rapidly emerging as a hub for AI infrastructure. The partnership announced Wednesday, which I believe today, it was announced today, will see Meta collaborate with Reliance on a 168 megawatt AI enabled data center in Jamnagar, Gujarat, expanding a relationship that has evolved from Meta's multi-billion-dollar investment in Reliance's Geo platforms to a $100 million venture launched last year to develop enterprise AI solutions for customers in India and overseas market. I'm pretty sure other companies are looking into expanding overseas, but this is the first time I'm seeing like concrete details of an American company like Meta moving into a different company and trying to extend their reach. The deal comes as India cements its status as a natural destination for AI infrastructure investments, with tech giants seeking new geographies for data centers amid soaring demand for computing power to train and deploy AI models. Several companies, including Microsoft, Amazon, Google, OpenAI, and Uber, have recently announced AI and cloud infrastructure investment in the country, which has rapidly expanded its data center footprint in recent years. So yeah, it's not just Meta, it's all these other companies that are also doing it. The rush into India extends beyond global tech firms. Earlier this week, Blackstone-backed AirTrunk announced plans to invest $30 billion to build 5 gigawatts of data center capacity in the country by 2030, while Indian conglomerate, including Adani and Tata Consultancy Services, have also unveiled major data center expansion plans aimed at supporting AI workloads. I mean, they have the people there, so there's no shortage of labor to build the data centers and maintain them. And hopefully they have the space that they can build these data centers in a place where it doesn't disturb people's lives as much as it's doing here. Well, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, if data centers are data centers, I mean, if there's a data center over there, it's probably going to be the same thing as a data center over here. There's a lot of changes that's going to be happening in India. And they gave tax exemption to foreign cloud provider services as long as those workloads. So yeah, if the workloads are done on India data centers, you're tax exempt through 2047. Okay, next up, OpenAI weighs leasing Ohio data center with Nvidia backing. OpenAI is in talks to lease a proposed 10 gigawatt data center campus on federal land in Ohio in a deal that could include financial backing from Nvidia. The information reported on Tuesday, citing two people with direct knowledge of the discussion. The campus could cost as at least $500 billion. Dude, China is spending $295 for a bunch of data centers. This one campus is going to be $500 billion based on current prices for chips, labor, power, and other inputs. OpenAI would control the equipment at the facility under a 20-year lease, with payments starting once operations begin. The first phase is expected in 2028. The facility, among the largest of its kind, I mean, I would assume so, with $500 billion poured into it, would be developed by SB Energy, a unit of SoftBank, on Department of Energy land in southern Ohio. Nvidia is expected to supply hardware in the facility and provide a financial guarantee for OpenAI's lease and SB Energy's financing. Reuters could not immediately verify the report, and OpenAI and Nvidia did not immediately respond to the request for comments. But earlier this year, the ChatGPT maker paused proposed Stargate data center project in the UK, citing regulatory hurdles and high energy costs. Separately, Apollo, Blackstone are financing a $35 billion AI capacity expansion for Anthropic using Broadcom chips. Okay. It's interesting. So for now, is in discussions. For now, they're just talking about it. But the OpenAI could move in on federal land. So we have China building their own, Meta building in India, and OpenAI in America spending $500 billion at least to build one data center after Stargate got paused. Now, all these data centers, they need power. And they need a lot of power that's going to strain the infrastructure of power delivery in America. I found a great Business Insider article that explains more about the data centers and their impact on businesses. So businesses, environment, and neighborhoods and jobs. We're going to go through it. We're not going to read all of it. It's a very long article, just like that Bloomberg article we read a few days ago. But I'm going to put the link to this in the description, so check it out for sure. This is one of the coolest articles I've seen. I mean, you'll see. They really try to get you invested with the interactivity in these articles. Gargantuan data centers are transforming the American landscape. Once quiet farmland outside Omaha, Nebraska, so this is all where farmland is now one of the largest data center complexes in the US. Look, it was nothing and then something. Nothing, something. Nothing, something. These data centers are huge. This is huge. And there's probably going to be more. There's probably going to be more around them too. Oh, wow. Wow. Look at that. Owned by Meta, it uses as much electricity as a small city. The AI boom is gobbling up power faster than ever. The data center boom is accelerating. A Business Insider analysis of U.S. data center permits reveal a staggering escalation in data center power use. Data centers across the U.S. are growing in number and in size. If all data centers permitted through 2025 come online, they will use between 224 terawatt per hour and 358 terawatt per hour of electricity annually, an increase of 50% over the previous year across the range. That's a huge amount. Oh, terawatt hours. Let's see what this means, terawatt hours. This is how you know I'm ADD. I get distracted by everything. Terawatt hour is a massive unit of energy used to measure large-scale electricity production or consumption. It equals 1 trillion watts of power used or generated continuously for 1 hour. For context, this is enough electricity to power about 90 million average homes for an entire year. So 358 terawatt per hours of electricity annually. So over the whole year, they're going to use 358 terawatts, which is still insane. This is insane. At the midpoint, That's more than all the electricity used by any one US state in 2024, except Texas. The vast majority of this power use is driven by hyperscale data centers, mammoth facilities that use 40 megawatts or more each, Business Insider estimates. Tech giants have an insatiable appetite for more computing power to fund their AI ambitions. In 2025, permits were issued for 176 new data centers across 34 states, the most new permits in 1 year since the first was issued in 1976. Many of them are mammoth facilities destined for rural areas, enormous complexes blanketing prairies, green spaces, and farmland. Amazon's planned 14-building data center complex in Ridgeland, Mississippi would transform nearly 800 acres of rural woodland. In the village of Mount Pleasant, Wisconsin, Microsoft's 9 data center buildings would command a collective footprint of over 5.2 million square feet, built on property nearly the size of New York City's Central Park, according to the documents. And just outside Eagle Mountain, Utah, one of the nation's biggest data center operators, QTS, is building one that is expected to demand between 1.9 and 3 terawatt hours a year once fully online. On average, that's the same amount of electricity used by 227 US homes. Holy shit. At the end of 2024, Business Insider tracked 1,240 permitted data centers across the US. In 2025, developers planned another 176 new data centers. 2/3 of the new facilities are hyperscale data centers, largely used to power AI. These mammoth facilities primarily serve big tech companies like Amazon. Amazon has the most hyperscale data centers by far. Wow, dude, that's crazy. I guess because of AWS too. Half the internet is on Amazon's servers. So 417 hyperscale data centers and 999 other kinds of data centers. Hyperscale data centers account for about 1/3 of data centers. Hyperscale data centers use more than 80% of total data center power. Whoa. So we have 1/3 of the other data centers. Just 1/3 of all data centers is hyperscale data centers. 1/3, but they use 80% more electricity collectively. Whoa, man. The race by tech companies to reach ever greater AI ambitions has sparked a sweeping backlash from local residents and state and local officials, wary of data center impacts on the environment, economy, and communities. Development-friendly lawmakers could face a reckoning in this year's midterms, in which data centers are emerging as a key issue for many voters. There's going to be a lot of people coming against data centers, but you never know. I think one of the things you got to do is hold the people you elect accountable. They could say something and then a year later they change their minds and allow the data centers to get built. Yeah, this is a great article, but it's a little too long for our video. I'll include a link down below so you guys can check it out. What do you guys think? Data center construction and the consumption of them are getting insane, man. And there's no stopping. I think it's just going to be more and more and more. These are the numbers people estimate right now. Who knows by the end of this year how much these numbers are increased. Let me know what you think of all this. Leave a comment down below. Make sure you guys like and subscribe, and I will catch you guys next time. Radio out.